everyone, it's Sharana from Pay Your Weight, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Chi Season 3, Episode 4, Gangway. There was a lot happening in this episode. We introduced 3 new characters, but for the sake of this recap and review, I'm going to talk about the whole story arc with Keisha. And so we see that it opens up with a dream that Dre is having in regards to Keisha. I was really confused at this point because I was like, we see that they're going back and forth. Keisha's being disrespectful how she normally is. But then we see as the end of the argument after Keisha decided she was going to be nice so Dre wouldn't snitch about her little tattoo that she got on her back. Then when she runs out and then the car almost hits her and then Dre wakes up from drenched in sweat from a nightmare. And so I was kind of confused until we get later in the episode where actually... let me just stay in chronological order of what happened with Keisha's storyline in this episode. So essentially, we find out that Nina's been paying a PI to basically do the work that the police should be doing, but they're not, because there's this overarching thing about how the police don't care about what's happening in the community, that they don't care about our young black girls who are missing. And this is unfortunately the same case for Keisha as well. And so, you know, Drea's talking about like this PI keep asking for more money after more money just to follow and chase some leads to find your daughter. Like, this is ridiculous. And so they're kind of just like at this crossroads where they don't know what to do, but Nina's trying to stay positive because she wants her daughter to come home. So we see that Ronnie is still kind of suspicious of this white man that he saw at the visual at the end of last week's episode. And so my man then went to this dude's house, then broke into the house, then took pictures and stuff. He realized that this is somebody that was in jail with him for, you know, messing with underage women. We see he got a little porn stuff, all type of crazy stuff in his house, y'all. I was shook. But so we see that he ends up going to tell Dre about the stuff that he found, shows the pictures. And so they basically decide that they're going to roll up on this dude at his house. When he coming out, they roll up on him. And then basically he just like, I ain't got nothing to do with nothing. I delete my browsing history every single day, so you can't put me in jail. And then he ended up kneeing Ronnie in the balls and just get away. And I was like, dang, Ronnie, you just stay just getting, you just stay just getting wrecked. You be getting beat up almost every episode, Ronnie. What is going on? Did you fighting the war, son? But we see that they end up rolling up on the dude again. And so then they basically they end up rolling up on a guy later in the episode. And so then they basically beat the mess out of him because they were just like, obviously us trying to have a civilized conversation with you, it's not going to work, even though y'all was still disrespectful the first time y'all went to him, but I understand why. Then he makes a statement saying, you know, I didn't mean to hurt her. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, please don't tell me that something is wrong with Keisha. Like, I should have known they was doing this little montage at the beginning of the episode that something was going to happen to her. And then how they filmed that scene where you see Nina gets the phone call as she's finally getting to a point where she is in a positive place. She gets the phone call. Then she tries calling Kevin. Kevin's not answering the phone. And then how they film that entire scene as we see Nina shows up and then Dre comes to greet her and they kind of walk up the steps and, you know, into the marsh of the beach. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I cannot do this. But they did such a beautiful job in shooting that scene because you feel as though you were Nina at that time. This is your child and you're really you're thinking the worst, hoping for the best. But when Dre says, hey, can you turn the body over? And she realizes that the tattoo that we saw at the beginning of the episode in the dream sequence isn't Keisha's. We know that the body is not hers. But I thought it was so well done. And that's when I was confused. I was like, oh, so this must have actually happened. Her getting hit by the car was the part that never happened. I was just like, okay, you know, I just was confused for a moment, but I understand now. I was really happy that Keisha was okay because I was like, please don't tell me they did all of this just to make this girl die or get murdered. I'm just like, I cannot take it. My heart cannot take it. And so I'm just happy that, you know, even though they have this sense of relief, it's still becoming more and more concerning that Keisha is actually still missing. But we do find out towards the end of the episode that, you know, Ronnie's been having this kind of special relationship with Papa's dad, the preacher, and then he basically tells him that he feels as though that he was called by God to help find Keisha, and this is kind of his redemption story. How he wants to help forgive himself is by helping them find Keisha, and I'm assuming that he's going to find himself as a person in the process and be able to forgive himself for shooting Kookie. So let's talk about Emmett Raggedy Behind, because I love talking about Emmett Raggedy Behind, okay? So I don't know why Emmett thought that he was going to go talk to his raggedy daddy, who in the middle of going through a divorce, separation, whatever you want to call it, because he is having problems because Tiffany does not want to give him no good. Then when his daddy was like, well, she at least like, you know, giving you, you know, your little, you know what I'm talking about. But, and then he was like, no, he was like, well, she at least should be doing that. I said, she should be doing what? So we see that they end up having a discussion about it because he thinks that she got too comfortable. And I'm like, well, you don't want us too comfortable because you back in your mama house living with her. Oh, he really get on my nerves, y'all. Y'all know that it's a love-hate relationship with Emmett. So he end up telling his son, like, she a Scorpio, so she smashes somebody else. And I was just like, wow, like, this how y'all really be feeling about people? She's staying with your raggedy behind with your mama. I mean, I can see why the signs would point to, I would hope that she was. But, you know, they end up going to couples counseling. And she basically ends up telling that she doesn't want to have sex because she's not on birth control and she's not trying to get pregnant no more. Which brings me back to my question I have every week. I understand you don't want to get pregnant no more, but are you pregnant right now? Because you were pregnant at the end of season 2 and now we go into season 3 like you weren't pregnant, and I'm confused as to what has happened. But you know what? I really do understand like her whole thought process. Like, you don't help with the baby. I have to do all this work. Like, I go to work, come back, do more work at the house. You don't really help with anything. And so I like that they try to explain to him that like, women like to be catered to. Women like to feel appreciated. And if they're not feeling appreciated, they like, I'm not a woman. If we don't feel appreciated, then we're not like, no, I don't want to give you no good. You don't deserve no good, okay? You deserve to shoot, get away from me, okay? So I was happy that he ended up doing something good for her and, you know, cleaning, having some nice candles, nice little massage and stuff, put the baby down. I said, okay, Emma, why can't you do this every day? It's not that hard because she does it every day for you. So I hope that we start to see a more healthy relationship, because if not, you know, he finna snatch Dominique. Like, you already know how this is gonna go down. But because of Tiffany's character, we're introduced to a new character, Dante, which is played by Corey Hartwick. And he was like, hey, like, you need some good. And I was just like, wow, like, you're just very forward, Dante. Like, while I can't appreciate it, like, I got a man. She was like, I keep the world from my man, okay? I said, that's what you got to do, especially with somebody like Emmett. But I still don't know why you with him, but it is what it is. But let's hope that he can get it together, that he can keep it in his pants, that he's not going to smash Dominique. But I think we already know where this is going to, you know, what's going to happen. So let's talk about Kevin. So Kevin, you know, he got this little boo thing, Gemma, and then Jake was calling her outside her name, and then he had to let him know. And so basically he put his hands on Jake like, what's good? I told you call her B one more time and see what happened. And I was like, thank you, Kevin. You better take up for your girl even when she's not there. But then he actually did knock somebody out because they were talking smack about Keisha, which is crazy because we judge everyone for how we perceive people, what we see them doing and stuff like that. You saw that last week with the Rock meeting. You see that this week with the dudes, like, well, they think that they know who she is and they've already judged her, and not just the fact that she deserves to be found. And so I think it's interesting how that thing keeps coming up with random people. But Kevin put their hands on, he put them paws on him, okay? I was definitely here for it. But I love this new storyline with him in his school, because we see when they go to this fundraiser how they were like, oh, well, look at Kevin. Because of your donations, we can help people like Kevin. Don't make it seem like it's charity, honey, because I still got to do this schoolwork. I'm still smart. I still deserve to be here. I might not be able to afford it. I was just like, that's just like the stuff they be doing. Just, you really think you doing something because you putting your coins. The whole thing just made me mad when he was like, you could be a Ben Carson. And his mom was like, I hope not. I said, thank you, mama. Because I was just like, haven't made sense for me. I was confused. But I'm happy. I still love Gemma, and how Kevin was like, she hasn't earned the right to meet you, mama. I said, that's my boy. That's my boy. But Gemma still killed it, though. Got a little endorsement from his mama anyway. I was like, okay, girl, I see you. But I love how she mentions that she doesn't like auctions because they low-key remind her of slavery. And I was like, thank you, Hunty. And then also, too, how she talked about after he took her on a date to the museum, you know, making sure that he meets her interests, what she likes to do, how she likes to learn, and how she talked about how her dad showed her representation of dark-skinned women and really reinforced to her that they're beautiful, that she can accept her beauty at, you know, its core. And I just love Gemma. Can I have a daughter like Gemma? I just love her and Kevin together. But what we do need to talk about is Otis. So Doodah. So essentially we are introduced to Candy, who plays his wife. And they have a very interesting past. Like, she kind of alludes to the point because she sees how he is and how he kind of used Jake after Jake called him dad and introduced him to Gemma's dad, since Gemma daddy got that money. So she talked about how, I guess she alludes to the fact that he possibly had her do an abortion. And then he was just like, hey, you know, basically she's like his beard for the campaign, that she is basically just going to play his wife. I don't know if they're actually married, not married. You know that they have a past. You know they mess around, because she alluded to the fact that he had her get an abortion because he wasn't ready to be a father. So I'm interested to learn a little bit more. She seems like way different than what he's used to, but maybe this is when he was back living that life. I don't know, but I'm interested to find out. But I like how he has this conversation with her, because, you know, we all were thinking it was some type of money grab to help him with the 63rd Street mob or something. But he talked about how all his life that they always told him that he couldn't be more than a drug dealer, a gangbanger, and how he told his teacher he wanted to be mayor. And she said that, you know, that wasn't possible for somebody like you. And so that's his real motivation, to show that you can do more, you can be more, even though he's still like ish at the same time. But I was like, you know what, dude, since you fine too, I'm gonna go ahead and roll with you on this one. But I think that's really it. Oh no, Papa. Oh my goodness, Papa Daddy is shady. He's shady moves. So the choir was singing all good, harmonized. I should have known something was up. That harmony was just a little bit too perfect. And then we see that Lena Waithe her character is named Camille. She's running for mayor against Otis. And then essentially, you know, Papa's dad is endorsing her. But then we see she paid him. Papa saw him. And then he was like, what are you doing? And then he was like, mind your business, this grown folk business, you stay out of it. And I was like, that's a typical parental response. But I was just like, oh my gosh, Papa Daddy shady too. That really broke my heart. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I'm just really broken about this, because like Papa, I felt like that was the equivalent when you find out that Santa Claus wasn't real, or the Tooth Fairy ain't real, and you just feel so disappointed. So I really am going to keep Papa lifted in my prayers, because I know that was a hard thing to see, that Joe, not only the pastor, but your daddy, you just talking about from he's a child of God, so now you being shady too. I was so confused, you guys. But yeah, like, there's a lot that happened. This is another setup episode, because they had to set up all of these new characters. We introduced 3 new characters this episode. It still wasn't like super eventful outside of kind of the whole thing with Keisha's storyline when we thought that something was wrong with her. But I think that next week we should start speeding up a little bit. I feel like they've introduced enough. I want to get to learn a little bit more, especially about Lena's character and what shadiness does Camille have going on for this mayoral race with Otis. I don't know if they're going to get into it. Otis going to try to kill her. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm excited to find out. But those are my thoughts on The Chi Season 3, Episode 4. I'm trying to look at my thing. What was it? Gangway? Yes. As always, my name is Sharonda from Para Waits. If you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit the notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. And until we meet again, bye.